What up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Shinobi Squad Podcast. I'm fan service Renji.
I'm Shana Mostella.
Today, we're going to continue our conversation about Japan.
Yes.
As I said in the last podcast, we didn't cover even half our trip. We just told y'all the logistics of how to go to Japan and what we paid, but y'all didn't even get to hear what we actually did in Japan. We flew into Tokyo, got on the bullet train from Tokyo to Osaka. That was about a 3-hour ride. Well, in Osaka, as we mentioned, we spent a day in Downtown eating and shopping.
Mm-hmm. So in Downtonbury, I ate whatever I wanted to, and I shopped until I got tired. And your girl got tired because there's a lot of deals out there, too. I was like, yes, hurt me.
Yes, we had to make trips back to the apartment to drop off Shana's shopping adventure goodies.
$5 shoes, and they lasted me forever. I was like, yes.
But in March, just so y'all know, it was cold. We were not ready for that winter cold. We brought some...
And it was raining.
Yeah, we brought some bullshit-ass jackets for the first week of March, and you literally needed a snow jacket. So if you're going to go to that region of Japan in March, early March, it is cold.
It's cold no matter where you go.
I had to go buy an extra long sleeve shirt to wear under my shirts.
Mm-hmm.
We definitely wanted to do some sightseeing. One of the things I wanted to do was go to Osaka Castle.
Mm-hmm.
That was quite an adventure. It was cold. But the trip to Osaka Castle, they drop you off at the beginning of the castle grounds, and it is a hike to the actual castle.
Oh, yeah. It's a hike to a lot of these temples that you want to see, which is why I don't really favor going to temples and castles. And it's just like, ugh.
And mind you, you have to think about the infrastructure at the time. Feudal Japan, they weren't thinking about roads, convenient ways to get to the castle. This was a kingdom that people had to traverse to take over. So there was a lot of ground to cover before we even got to the castle. So you had to walk the grounds, which was a great experience.
It was a very great experience. I don't like hiking.
Yeah, you get tired. If you're not ready for it, you get tired. And like the final FU there was like those steps. Remember? We got to the steps and there was drunk Australians. Remember that?
Before, let me just start from the bottom to the top, okay? First of all, we had to walk through a park.
Yeah.
We had to walk through a goddamn park to get up to the castle. So we had to walk through the park. I stopped and fed the birds. I stopped for a good 10, 20 minutes. We walked to the actual part of the castle. Then you got to do that and walk all the way up to the castle, into the castle, and then you have to take a stairway inside that same castle and go all the way up from there and go even higher. So your girl don't like working out as it is. I don't like hiking as it is. So where we started to where we ended up took a lot out of me because I was just out of it. I was not ready for any of that. And of course, your boy, Renji, didn't tell me any of these things. He just had me do it. And I'm just like, you know what? I'm going to go home. I'm going to leave you. You can just enjoy this temple however you want to do it. I had enough. I was trying to find the nearest 7-Eleven to get my pork cutlets and my noodles. I was done.
It was definitely a journey. And there was like this crow, these birds that I kept calling the troll crow, right? Because it kept cawing at us. It kept like, ha ha, ha ha. At first, you didn't think about it. As we kept walking every 20 minutes, ha ha, ha ha. I was like, is this damn bird trolling us?
And literally, that's what it sounded like. It was like, ha ha. It wasn't like, caw, caw. It was like, ha ha. Is this troll? Is this crow a troll?
For all you Naruto fans out there, if you remember the Kakashi face mask episode where that bird kept flying across.
He kept
It
saying,
was
ha, ha, ha.
it was the exact same feeling. We're making our way to the Osaka Castle, and we finally get in there. And I was kind of disappointed. It wasn't a castle. I mean, I guess it was a Japanese castle, but they transformed it into a museum.
But by the time we got there, it was a museum. It wasn't
Yeah.
a cat. Because that's what I'm saying. Like, we had to walk through a park. Like, the park was beautiful. Everything from start to finish was very beautiful. It was just the hike and the unnecessary shit to get up to the top. Once you were inside the castle, you couldn't really enjoy anything that had to do with it being a castle, because by that time it was like we already renovated and we already made it into something that was like not even a castle. And I'm just like, so you mean to tell me I spent a whole bunch of time
Yeah.
getting up to this thing and I
Yeah.
can't even enjoy it being a castle?
Osaka Castle ended up being a like 5-6 floor museum, which was cool to certain aspects, but you have to be in the mental mind state to go to a museum. You have to be ready to read exhibits and read the text, because if you didn't, if you just looked at pictures, you would have just wasted the whole trip. There was a lot of history, which
Oh,
was
yeah.
awesome. There was a historic painting of when the castle was first made. It told the story of the feudal lord that ran the castle, or Osaka or whatever. If you were thinking you was gonna go in this castle, see some samurai swords, some shogun shotguns and shit like that, you are in for a treat, cause it was none of that. It was a big history lesson.
But it was like that, and I will give it its due, I guess, credit, because this one castle went through so many traumatic events. Not even that, it went through so many natural disastrous events where it got struck by lightning like twice, right? Long story short, this castle got remade over and over and over again, to the point where it was just modernized throughout the time. So I get why it was modernized and why it felt like that, because you don't know any of these things by the time you're like at the base of the castle. You know this by the time you're at the top of the castle. So when you've already spent a whole day being there, that's when you get to know the history and what happened to the castle and why it's like the way it is. And if I could do it all over again at the end of the day, I would, because now that I know what it went through and what it took to be what it is today, yeah, I definitely would do it
Yeah.
again. It was beautiful.
Yeah, it was a beautifully restored castle. There's a lot of reading. If you
There's
don't
a
like
lot
to
of
read,
reading.
then I'm sorry.
But they had videos.
Yeah, they had
videos
videos.
and pictures.
The grand finale is when you get to the top of the castle. They still had some of the original like cannons and the original sniper spots, as I like to call them, where the archers could shoot arrows at people.
And that's what I really did enjoy about that particular castle, because they still had remains of what it used to look like. And I could always appreciate that in any history piece of like property.
Oh yeah, you could definitely appreciate the grounds of how much room this kingdom covered, because like the ground, yeah, it was turned into a park, but you think back, it's like these are where people lived. This is where
Yeah.
people farmed. Any invading army had to get past the commoners to get to the castle.
If I was tired, imagine the people that had to get up there to fight some people.
Uh-huh.
It was a whole ass park.
It was a journey.
That's why I wanted to emphasize on that before I even talked about the actual temple itself, because you had to walk a lot to get up to the actual premises of the castle, and then you had to take that and go up the castle. It was a lot, but like imagine that back then.
The only thing that took me out of the experience were the drunk Australians on the grand steps. They was just doing jackass Johnny Knoxville Stevel type shit.
By the time we got back to that point, I had already gone through the whole castle and we were trying to come back down. So then when we got to those stairs leading up to the park, I was spiritual. I was like feeling the moment. I'm like, yes, spiritual energy, take me, overtake me. And like these Australians were trying to do the same thing from the bottom. So they were like looking at us like, are they done? Can you get off the fucking stairs? Can you get off the stairs? I'm like, do you know where we are? Because I guess by when they were down there, they hadn't seen the rest of the thing. So I'm like,
Long story short, they were just being loud ass foreign tourists, just taking drunk pictures and, yeah, look at me, I'm in Japan.
they're looking at us like we were taken away from their experience.
But to their defense, Japan doesn't have a strict alcohol policy. We'll get into that too. You can drink in public. So you can just go to the 7-Eleven, get yourselves a beer or a tequila,
Whatever you want.
and just get lit.
Lit-tastic.
On the subject of drinking in Japan and the open container policy, Japan has none. I'm sure some of y'all have seen videos showing drunk businessmen passed out on the street. So, let's talk about that real quick.
I'm drunk businessman.
You're a drunk business. We discovered a drink in Japan called Strong Zero.
Bless you.
Bless you, Strong Zero.
Bless you.
A gift and a curse. Strong Zero has the same effect as drinking Four Locos, but it's not as messy. So those of you who are just into some of these seltzer drinks in America, that's pretty much what Strong Zero is. It's a low carb, low calorie alcoholic cocktail in a can. So for you White Claw people out there, ain't no law when you drink the claw until you get arrested. But in
I
Japan,
never heard of that.
in Japan, they have what you call a Strong Zero. Doing research on travel videos, someone told me to try a Strong Zero. I tried one and I was hooked.
The rest was history.
The rest was history. My entire vacation was Strong Zero centric. Mind you, for those that know me, I only really drink tequila. But I was in Japan and I had to drink a Strong Zero. Let me tell you, this no calorie, no sugar alcoholic drink changed my life.
It was so good.
It was.
It was something. The alcohol base was vodka.
I think, yeah, it was like vodka or something.
Yeah,
And we both hate vodka.
I hate vodka so much, and I was weary because when Renji first tried it, he liked it, but you know, Renji is Renji. Like he'll like what he likes, but I know when it comes to alcohol, I like only tequila because tequila is the only thing that gets along with me. That's the only reason. Like I will not discriminate on anything. But when it comes to alcohol, alcohol tends to discriminate with me. So, like, I tend to stick to only things that I am accustomed with. But this was the base of vodka with, like, whatever flavor that you chose. It could be, like, pineapple soda, could be, like, grape, could be whatever flavor you wanted. And it wasn't until after he first tried it and when I tried it, I was like, I never looked back either. I never looked back.
The first time I tried it, we were in Kyoto in the geisha district, remember?
Gion.
We sitting here trying to be all proper because we wanted to catch a geisha. Tourists are asked to not stop them for pictures because they're out there working.
Yeah.
We lucked out and we saw a couple live geishas. So we got to film them, but I didn't stop them. You know, I didn't just be a douche. We had been in Japan for a couple of days and we didn't want to like drink in public because we wanted to be respectful. But then we're just like, you know what? Drinking in public's okay here. So that's when I got my first Strong Zero. Oh my God. I felt like we were selling drugs. We sat in the corner like, ooh, ooh.
We're in school. We shouldn't do this.
I just drank a beer in public. And like I was attracting more attention to us than should have been because I would drink and I'd look left, right. Here, Shana, you drink some.
Data bayo.
We bought like a tall can and we split that. Shana and I drink tequila. We drink straight shots. We got buzzed off that one tall can.
Strong Zero, let me put it out there, is so dangerous because not only does it not taste like alcohol, but it doesn't taste sugary sweet either.
Yeah.
You can choose your flavor and it kind of tastes like pineapple, kind of tastes like whatever. It's not enough to where you think, okay, I'm going to get effed up off of this one drink. It's so like ninja-like to where you have a sip and you're just like, You just want to keep it to yourself
Oh,
because
yeah.
it's just so discreet. It's just like you kind of feel bubbly at some point. You're just like, yes, like I'm feeling something, but like I don't want to say nothing because maybe I should be doing it. But it just makes you feel so clean.
It creeps and hits you.
It's clean. It's a clean hit to where you can have a cocktail or a shot of something. You'll feel it right away. But like this was just like a creep. It was like not even a creep. It was a tickle. It was like,
Yeah.
like giggle water.
We saw the geisha street and whatever. We walked up and down it. But then we spent the rest of the night drinking strong zeros along the riverside.
Because once I had my first taste, I was hooked because it didn't taste like anything. I don't like sugar. I don't like sugary drinks, especially.
Yeah.
I hate that kind of stuff. But like this was just the right amount of everything, and I just couldn't put it down.
Yeah.
I couldn't.
It was so deliciously dangerous. You didn't taste alcohol. We ended up drinking on the riverside, just laughing to ourselves on some drunk bullshit.
Giggle water.
Just looking like American idiots. Finally, we got hungry. This dude, this pretty K-pop looking boy, tried to convince us to go to his hot pot spot when we walked past.
Shabu shabu.
But we didn't want to eat yet because we were still trying to drink and get drunk. Then we walked back and we're like, you know what? This dude's a good salesman.
And I had my little translator thing because he didn't know a lick of English
He didn't
at
know any
all.
English.
So I'm like, hey, what is this? And then it played back in Japanese.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, it's shabu shabu. I'm like, oh, yes, let's do it. I was already off on the strong
Yup.
zero.
And then we went up. The funny thing was, I guess they played hip hop and R&B music there. There was a sign that said "Good Black Music." We're like, cool. I understand that they playing hip hop and R&B.
If anything, that's what made us go there.
Yeah. So we were up there, made sure the dude got his tip, his service, and we had hot pot for the first time. I wasn't too impressed with hot pot because it's pretty much
Meat and lettuce.
meat, lettuce, and you're boiling it in water. So you have to really enjoy the broth. I'm not a broth person, so I'm not going to lie. I didn't really enjoy the hot pot experience. But I know some people really like hot pot. I just didn't.
I didn't like that one. I'll
Yeah.
say. I feel like if you're a restaurant that specializes in it, because
Yeah.
this place had other stuff.
Yeah.
But what they, I guess, advertised was hot pot. But I
Yeah.
could tell that wasn't their main dish.
Yeah.
Because all they gave us was lettuce and
And the meat, yeah.
Yeah. And it didn't taste like anything. It was just water. It wasn't spiced or anything like
Yeah.
that.
It seemed like a tourist trap.
Yeah.
And I can cook broth better than that. But
Oh,
you know
yeah.
what? Like the dude was working his ass off, and
And that's what sold us
yeah,
on
we
it.
fell from. We were drunk off a strong zero. I'm like, you know what, dude? You pretty, you handsome. Come on, let me make you some money tonight.
Because we're not even really that keen on ramen either. So if he
Yeah.
had sold us ramen as well, we would have
Yeah.
been like, okay, cool. Just because he was that good of a person,
Yeah.
that good of a salesperson on top of that, and it's just like, I like you as a person. I see the image, but like you're also a good salesperson, so I'm gonna go in there.
Yeah, we just got up there. We had some hot pot. We ordered like the minimum amount of food, but then we just spent like the rest of our money on strong zero cocktails.
And across from that place, it was like a river in the middle. The hot pot guy was on this side, and like other stores were on the other side. We happened to find some tequila on the other side.
Oh yeah,
It was great.
We went to an actual store that sold import liquor. For whatever reason, I guess the Japanese don't drink tequila. They only had like 2 choices of tequila.
They only had like the 1800, silver tequila, or they had the dark reposado. And it was just either that or that. It was nothing special.
So while in Osaka, we spent a lot of time eating and shopping. We knew it was going to be cheaper than Tokyo. One of the nights, we ended up at this sake bar, Freedom Bar. This little hole-in-the-wall spot on the upper level. I'm so glad we went. It probably seated 10 people, but it was so warm feeling.
And this was not the traditional bar you've ever seen. Like, we had to climb up to it. Like, it was on like a secondary level, but once you got in there, you're kind of like hunched over and you kind of had to like sit down in the top. But like, if you walk down to the bar, you could like sit comfortably
Yeah.
and whatever.
The owner and bartender was super nice.
Yeah.
Since we were the only 2 in there at the time, because it was like a weekday, we got to really converse with him.
Yeah.
Yes, it was a struggle, the language barrier, but it was such an amazing experience. We ordered one of the strongest sakes. This bitch was like 60% alcohol.
Because what we tried to do, because we were the only people there, we wanted to order the most, like, because he was so informative. So, like, we wanted to know what was the best thing we could order here in terms of, like, Japanese sake. We had the bullshit sake here.
Yeah, we drink bullshit sake here in America.
Yeah.
I'm not going to even lie. We drink sweet, cloudy, nigori.
The cold, sweet kind of stuff.
Dessert sake.
I don't like the hot one because the few times I've had hot sake, it just tastes like gym socks. But, like, this one was in a bottle. It wasn't warm or cold. It was kind of like how they keep whiskey. And it was just immaculate.
We was trying to drink some real shit.
Some real shit.
It was, like I said, like 60% alcohol.
And at first, he gave us it, like, straight without anything in it. It tasted so strong. So strong. It didn't taste like anything I've ever had before in my life.
We thought we was tough because we was tequila drinkers, like straight shots of tequila. Oh no, boo-boo. Tequila was cotton candy compared to this sake. We couldn't even take a shot. We were sipping the shot he poured.
Because I had ordered it. I think you had ordered something different, but like
I got the same thing.
You got the same thing?
Yeah, we got the same
thing.
So
we kind of combined it, and then he at some point added some flavor to it. But even that, it was just like...
It took us an hour to sip that shot and a half, 2 shots he poured us.
But he knew that, though. He asked us straightforward. He's like, are you sure?
Yeah.
Are you sure you want this? And then, like, I'm like, I don't know. I don't know what it tastes like. But he's like, all right. He just poured us like, the shots. It took us so long.
Being dumb Americans were like, yeah, we want it strong. Looking back at the menu, now we understood why that was like a $12 shot in Osaka.
It was pure. Every sip I took was like a it like burned my tongue. It was so bad.
It was painful.
It was so bad.
No chaser, no nothing.
And I've had strong tequila before. And this was nothing like that. This was nothing. And this sake that he gave us was clear on top of that. I've seen dark sakes. I've seen different kinds of sakes. This was straight up clear. You would have thought it was water.
Yeah.
It was horrible.
It was horrible, but we muscled through it. It was a gift and a curse because we got to just sit there and chill with this dude. He wanted to practice his English.
Yeah.
It was awesome because we communicated through this translator, the Ili Japanese translator.
The same thing I use in the Shabu Shabu guy.
Yep. It only spoke common travel phrases, but between that and like the Google translator and his English, we were able to communicate. This dude pulled out a tablet to explain to us his level of English, and he was like, I only speak the English because I watch the Netflix.
Because he was trying to tell us the shows that he was watching at the time. And he didn't know what the names of the shows were, but like he would try to describe it. And I was like, oh, Desperate Housewives. Oh, Breaking Bad. Oh, this is like, it was just the way he explained it and the way it came out was like two different things, but I just somehow knew what he was talking about.
And then finally he was smart enough to pull out a tablet and show us all the shows he had watched. And he's like, oh, this my favorite, much action. It took a long time, but at some point we both finally got smart to just pull up our phones.
Yeah.
And he would type what he wanted to say. We would type what we wanted to say and show each other. And it was such a cultural, enriching experience.
It was, because we were the only ones in there. And we could talk to him in an intimate way. Because it would have been a disaster if that place had been packed or like on a normal night. But like, this was such a beautiful night because he was the only one there as well. And so, like, he just had the time to really fully explain what he was trying to say.
Yeah.
And it made me feel so good. I love that kind of stuff. I love it 100%. And, like, because we had that translator, I felt like it was easier for us to just go, like, interject in what he was saying. And he could know what we were saying. And it was just a beautiful moment.
It was a great cultural exchange.
Yeah.
Just to pick up some random spot and go to This wasn't on any travel video or Yelp
No.
reviews. We just picked a spot that we wanted to go to.
I wish we had seen it on its prime night, besides us being there on like a Tuesday or whatever it
Uh,
was. But it was very nice getting to know this person because apparently this guy had been all over the world.
yeah.
He had been in New York for a couple years, this place a couple years, and he's just been all over the
Oh yeah,
world.
like he had been traveling as a bartender, just learning his craft. But for some reason, he just didn't pick up the language because if you've ever taken like French or Spanish in high school, if you don't use it, you lose it.
Yeah.
As we said at the beginning of all this, Japan is more than just Tokyo. At the very least, if you have a trip to Japan, do Tokyo and the Osaka region. When you're in Osaka, you got to go to Kyoto. Kyoto is where all the temples, all the spiritual shit is. There's a lot of history in Kyoto. We decided to go to this very popular temple shrine location. We get there. Not gonna lie, we stopped at the 7-Eleven right next to the train station because we had to get our eat on. We was hungry. We was trying to eat those triangle seaweed rice thingies. We were trying to follow the instructions and we failed miserably to where we just cut the shrink wrap in half and just ate the seaweed and the rice separate. Whatever, right? Anyways, that's not important. We noticing people dressed up in kimonos, like Japanese people. It's like, oh damn, this is a
This
really
is up in the mountains too, on top of that.
we're soaking in the spiritual sights. Shauna all of a sudden notices an unbeaten path. I'm looking over like, where is this girl going? I'm trying to take a selfie by a shrine. Shauna is off in the wind. I'm looking over like, I don't think we're supposed to go over there.
I'm just noticing that there's cages open, like in Jurassic Park where the velociraptors were let open or whatever. So I'm like, maybe this is something interesting because, mind you, I don't like looking at temples. Like, if I've seen one, I've seen them all. If you go
Yeah.
to Thailand, you see one Thai temple, whatever, you've seen them all. But like, Renji was hell bent on seeing temples
Yes.
this entire trip.
I'm the
So-
avatar. I'm trying to get spiritual.
It wasn't like we couldn't go on this path. It was an open thing.
I was trying to take selfies and I noticed Shauna wandering over to this other area while the Japanese locals read the sign and quickly just kept making it past me. And I'm just sitting there like, they can read that Japanese sign, so they know something's going on and they're not going over there.
You are content with what we saw, right?
Mhm.
Me, I want to see something different. I love paranormal stuff. I live for paranormal. But you could go this way if
Yeah.
you want to.
Yeah.
But it was closed at a certain point. So I'm like, okay, cool. We were well within our rights to go up there. So I want to paint a picture. This temple was in the mountains somewhere. Where I wanted to go, where I saw this like magical place, was on the upper side of the mountainside. So I went up the mountain, and you were down there taking your little selfies and whatever with your little whatevers. And then I went and had my own fun. But then you saw me going up towards that way, and for some reason you felt a little uncomfortable with it.
Yeah, so let me interject. I noticed no Japanese person is taking the same detour as Shauna. I was like, I don't think we should go up there. Shauna is already making her way up there. I'm trying to play catch up. So I get up there to the gate. As Shauna said, it looked like Jurassic Park. There were cages and gates open as if an animal broke loose.
To me, it didn't look like anything was wrong. As I was going up the hill, I didn't feel right. Honestly, I did not feel right. It was something about going up this hill. I looked to my left. There was like the cliffs. Something was there. There was just like parts of the mountain that used to be something but wasn't anymore. It just felt so desolate and scary at the same time. There was nothing there to scare me. Just the way we were going up the hill
Yeah.
scared me. It was just desolate and very lonely. And I kept looking to my left. I'm just like, okay, that used to be something. Cages, gates, gates, which is one of those. As I'm making my way up this hill, it starts to wind, and I'm just like, where am I going? And it just felt like a time loop. Honestly, like I don't care about this stuff because I feel so serious about this kind of subject because I know how real it is. No one told me anything. No one gave me any scary story. I was just going up this mountain, just like exploring, and it just felt like it wasn't supposed to be, you know?
Mm-hmm.
As I'm walking up this mountain, as I'm turning these corners and these winds and bends, something just kept telling me, go back down that hill.
Yep.
Go back down. Go back where you came from. And it wasn't until I reached a certain corner, I started seeing gravestones, y'all. And Renji was behind me. He didn't even see the gravestones. He never saw that.
Mm-hmm.
I got to a point on that cliff to where I started seeing gravestones, y'all. Like, it was an event. As soon as I saw that, I'm like making my way down the hill. I'm like, nope, nope, nope.
Yeah. So from my standpoint, I was playing catch up. As I said, I was far away from her. I was trying to vlog. Shana was probably like 5 minutes ahead of me. So I'm walking up this winding lone path up this mountain, and I'm starting to feel this chill. Like, this doesn't feel right. Shana's so far ahead of me that she's pretty much out of view. Where is Shana? I know she went this way. And it's all on my vlog. I'm making my way up. Next thing you know, Shana turns around like, we gotta go. We gotta go right now. I'm like, wait, what?
I was terrified because the whole way up this mountain, I felt chills. Something was already telling me, like, no, you should not go that way. You shouldn't do that. Honestly, I'm not one for superstition, but when something didn't feel right, it made me scared. I was scared for my life. So me being me, I just kept going. But like until I saw those gravestones, I was like, nope, nope, nope. Like I was walking backwards. I didn't even turn towards Renji at that point. I was just like, nope, no. I was like walking backwards.
Yeah, whatever kind of energy Shana was feeling, it was enough to make her be like, no, we gotta go. She didn't even explain to me why we had to turn around and go. And I was like, all right, good enough. Because I was feeling that same creepy energy. Like I said, I noticed the Japanese locals weren't going that way. We were the only dumbasses that decided to veer up that path. Correction. Shana was the only dumbass that decided to veer up that path.
But you went that way too.
No, I went that way out of my concern for her. I had to go make sure she was okay, but when she came running back,
when it came to this place, like I just felt like this was my chance. Like this was my chance to finally feel something different. And I just felt wrong the entire time. So I'm just like, I'm good. I'm good. Because when it comes to folklore, y'all is the motherhood of that shit. So I'm good. I'm done. I don't want nothing to do with this. Bye. Bye. I'm going to go find me some whale ice cream and I'm done. See ya.
Boom. That kind of wraps up our highlights for Kyoto, Osaka. Definitely worth a visit to that region of Japan. There was so much more we didn't explore. First time to Japan, you can't do everything. I'm going to talk some shit about some of my friends real quick about their Japan experience. If you take anything from this, that's just the grand finale of our trip to Osaka, Kyoto region. Do yourself a favor, explore. Do yourself a favor, explore more than just Tokyo when you're in Japan. You will definitely see a difference between the Tokyo culture and the Osaka culture. So, let's talk about our Tokyo experience. We did some of the typical weeb shit. You know, we went to Akihabara, checked out all the little manga shops and the video game shops. That was cool. Mm-hmm. That was worth a day's visit. I wouldn't, knock that. That's definitely an experience, I'm mad that we didn't get to go to the Poke Shop in Tokyo. Mm-hmm. I'm mad that I didn't book a reservation to the Final Fantasy Cafe. I'm mad about all that. Experience those shit. Spend a day there in that district, but experience a lot of what Tokyo also offers. We went to the red light district. We decided to turn up at a club. That club was not ready for our American ratchet asses. Shana and I were superstars at that club.
But I guess we weren't used to them turning up too, because at some point at the night, around like midnight or whatever, the girls that were supposed to be go-go dancers came out in some like bondage leather outfits.
Yeah, some girl looked like
Mhm.
the season 2 One Punch Man villain that every girl's trying to cosplay.
Every girl that got up on that stage looked like that. I was like, I guess I was not ready for that.
Yeah, because when we went to that
So
club, like a lot of people were kind of like timid and didn't want to dance. But Shauna and I, we're used to dancing on stage at cons. We're like, you know what? Let's turn up. As soon as we started turning up, like that party turned over. And it was funny
yep.
that I was dancing, doing my own thing on the floor. Shauna was on her own end of the bar dancing. For those that don't know, Shauna and I don't feel it's necessary to always dance with your partner. You can do your own thing at the bar.
So we were dancing at this club, and this person came up to me and was like started to like friendly dancing with me and everything. And like he was being such a gentleman to where I'm just like I didn't feel like I was in the right. I'm like I, I don't you know how I dance and like he was coming up to me just trying to be a gentleman, like trying to get up on me. I'm just like ah, I don't know about this.
Mind you, I don't care who Shauna dances with. I'm looking over like, okay, go Shauna, you dancing with a Japanese boy. Like I'm in the middle of the dance floor just doing my thing. And people are just looking at us like, who are these people? They're like superstars. At some point, Shauna and I finally came together and started dancing together. This dude looks at me and he's just like, oh, I'm so sorry. Is that your girlfriend? And then he's all like bowing in respect to me. I'm just like, dude, this is not a big deal. But anyways, that club in Shinjuku, we turned that shit up.
Mhm.
And it went from respect for the ratchet, thanks to us. A lot of guys and girls were on some junior high shit. They were in their own corners, but they saw people like us closing the gaps. I remember some girl saw me dancing with her friend and she looked backwards and was just like, okay, you cute enough to dance with my friend. I'm gonna let that happen. Cause I was gonna stop. I thought she was gonna bitch me out. I was like, whoa, whoa, whoa. I'm cool. And she's like, no, no. She gave me the smile and the thumbs up. She was like, smile, thumbs up. And she's like, anyways, we turned up in Shinjuku. That was cool. We went to the Harajuku district so Shauna could get her fashion on. That was an experience because a K-pop star was there, and we were pretty much stampeded. We didn't even know that there was a K-pop star there. We were just trying to leave the Harajuku district and get to the train, but we were trapped in a mob.
After that, I realized that I was in like the Harajuku like moment, and like I saw all the stores that I wanted to hit up that were Harajuku, and not even Harajuku, but like the Visual K places, and like I was just in my world. This was Takashita Street, okay,
Yes.
Takashita Street, and that's where you go if you want to get some stuff. So like that's where I
Yeah.
was, and like it was lit. I loved it.
Definitely. Make sure y'all bring some money to Takashita Street. You're going to spend a lot of money.
Yeah, because they're still in the mindset that you are looking for those kinds of things. So as much as it's not really in the media anymore, like the Visual K and the Lolitas and the whatever it is, like you can still find those things on Takashita Street, but they want you to spend that same money as if it was popular because fashion is always going to be fashion. And I'm sorry, but you cannot find a discount on that. You have to be willing and able to buy that kind of thing without there being a bargain. So I'm sorry, but that shit is still relevant in Japan.
Yeah, that was one of the things I wanted to ask you about. Your expectations versus reality. Like, a lot of us on the outside looking in think Takashita Street is nothing but bubblegum princesses. And what did you think you were going to see versus what you actually saw?
So we happened to go there on a Sunday. And Sundays usually were like their I guess their fashion week days or their runway days
Yeah.
where they would just come out in their biggest and bestest and things like that where they would just walk that street and just wear their stuff and just do their thing. But I knew already that they didn't do that anymore. So by the time I found out what that street was, by the time we actually got there, that was already extinct. From what I expected, I thought there might be like a few people doing it or whatever. What I thought versus what I saw was maybe like half of that.
Yeah.
So I saw maybe like a few people doing still like Decora and like the visual okay and like the Gothic Lolita stuff like that. Might have saw like 4 people doing it, honestly. Like it became less of a thing than when it was to where I just knew already like it wasn't going to be a thing, but like I feel so bad for that because I grew up on that shit. I
Yeah.
grew up knowing that this is what happens, this is what goes down on Sundays, and we happened to go there on a Sunday.
Yeah. It
And
died down.
a lot.
The scene died down. I was so disappointed. Out of all the Japanese stereotypes that I was hearing about, I was expecting Takashita Street and the Harajuku district was going to be lit in culture and fashion, but it was really tame. Most of the places, all the trends that we had grown to love on the internet had died. They don't even exist.
I did see a lot of the stores still exist, and I went into those stores purposely and bought stuff purposely for that reason. And I just went crazy on those things.
Yeah, you bought like $80 harem pants, didn't you?
Not even that. Not even that. Like the stuff that I bought was on sale, but it wasn't like stupidly cheap or anything like that. But
Oh,
like
it was so expensive. I remember that.
it was still expensive, but like there were still stores that still stood that were like catered to visual okay, catered to Gothic Lolita, catered to the Harajuku world and stuff like that. So like I went into those stores purposely to buy those things, and I only bought them because of that past culture that I was so in love with. To where when like back then when I was a teenager, I'm like, when I go to Japan, I'm going to do all these things,
Yeah.
and like I found those same spots, and I still cater to those same spots. Those same spots are still there, so don't think that if you go to Japan you're not going to see all that. You are, but it's still going to be there, but also it's still going to be a lot more expensive than you think that it's going to be. So just be aware of that. So when you go out there and you think you're going to be a Harajuku girl and a holla back girl and whatever, like no, it's still going to be the same price. Don't get me wrong.
Oh
with that.
yeah, it's gonna be expensive. Speaking of expensive, we went to go eat at a sushi place after that first day. We just came off the hype of eating conveyor belt sushi in Osaka, thinking it's gonna be cheap or whatever. Child, please. They was strategic about the sushi place in the Harajuku district.
When we went to the sushi place, they were advertising like dollar this, dollar that. But like when we sat down to that restaurant, it was only $5 and up on the conveyor belt. You had to specifically order something that was cheaper. And I noticed like these 2 gentlemen on my left that were ordering things. They were like these businessmen, like these younger businessmen or whatever. I was wondering why they were like interrupting the chefs and like talking to the chefs and stuff like that, because they had already lived there and they were talking to these chefs and they're like, hey, can we get this? Can we get that? Can we this and that? I was noticing on the conveyor belt that all the things that they were advertising that were for cheap were not on the like not on this conveyor belt. They were on the menu, but you had to specifically order those things.
Yeah, if you wanted like just a California roll or spicy tuna.
The
or-
stuff that was advertised as $1. It doesn't matter if it was like, it was a lot of good stuff. Don't get me wrong. Like it was good stuff that you had to order that.
Yeah, you had to specially order it because the only shit that was on the conveyor belt was $5 a plate. So, anyways, long story short, Shauna walked away spending $40 on just her sushi. I spent like $25, $30. Mind you, back in Osaka, us together eating till we were about to throw up combined was like $25.
I'm not one for cheapness, so if I see something I like, I'm gonna buy it. Like I'm not one for cheapness. I cannot go on a cheap date. I cannot go on a cheap vacation. I cannot do anything cheap. Like if I want something, I will get it.
Shauna ate less and paid almost 3 times more. Like we were in a bougie spot and we didn't even think about that, but you were there, you're gonna eat wherever you want to eat. What I want to spend time talking about is we went to the red light district.
Yes, we did.
We started our Shinjuku adventure at the Godzilla Hotel. Pretty much, you go to this hotel, You ain't got to check in. You ain't got to pay no money. You just got to ignore the host. Go up to the top floor. There's even an elevator sign that says Godzilla. You go up to the top and you see Godzilla on the top of the hotel. You go take a picture with him. Once every hour, he blows some steam. Simple enough. Goes by pretty quick. So we had some time to kill. One of the things I really had to do was see the Robot Restaurant Cabaret show. It's pretty much this live show with robots and shit, to say the least. It's like a 2-hour show. Definitely worth your money. Bought my tickets online, saved about $30. You want to see the Robot Restaurant show? Make sure you buy your tickets online. Save the money. You get 2 free drink tickets per ticket. We had 2 hours to kill. Decided to drink some more Strong Zero as we waited in the red light district. As it turned night, the audience changed. When you walk to the red light district, host clubs take a different meaning.
Oh, yeah.
Pretty much, you can pay to spend time with a man or a woman of your choice. I don't know how far this exchange goes. These clubs start showing up where you can pick a man or a woman off a poster. A lot of these Japanese host clubs do not cater to non-Japanese people. I looked it up in some YouTube videos. It's because some foreigners do not understand when they've gone too far. So you can figure that out for yourself. Anyways, we drank a couple Strong Zeros, waited for the show to begin, got to the Robot Restaurant show, and it was a bright-colored neon dream that you would expect it to be. This show mashed up pop culture with history, with Naruto. They even had Jiraiya, the pervy frog sage, come on down on stage and do a thing. This show was amazing. It was definitely chaotic. Nothing made sense. They mashed up the Terminator with Naruto, with Sailor Moon, but it was an amazing show. Because we had free drink tickets during our show, best believe, we drank during our show on top of our other drinks. The show ends. We make it up to the bar that we didn't make it up to. Side note, we missed out on the fact that John Legend and his wife was in the show before our show. So
John Legend and Chrissy Teigen.
That's how much of a big deal the Robot Restaurant show is. When you're waiting to get seated, you see pictures of celebrities. Norman Reedus has been there. Like, everyone's been there. This is a good show. We chilling at the bar. I'm not gonna lie. I've been drinking Strong Zeros for the last couple hours in the red light district. We meet this bartender. I befriend him. And I'm like, hey, we're Americans. What are you doing after your shift? This dude was like, actually, I get done in an hour. If y'all want to hang out for the next hour, I'll take y'all around. Boy, was that the beginning of the end. We have our 2 tequila cocktails or whatever. We start hanging out in the alleyways. The one thing you'll learn quickly is the bar staff are aggressive. They will come and try to snatch you up, and they will grab you by their arm to drag you in their club. So we fighting off bar employees like, no, I'm good. I'm waiting for my friends to come out. On some random chance, I meet people from Seattle, Washington. They start talking to us like, yo, what's up? They see me hype. They see me vlogging. And comes to find out, they know my little brother. They're like, wait a minute. Do you know so-and-so? I'm like, yeah, that's my younger brother. Like, oh, shit, we live in Seattle. He's one of our friends. So then instantly we started bonding.
Yeah.
Because not only were they Americans, they were friends with my family in Seattle. So we started chilling. We're like, dude, look. There's a bartender that works at the Robot Restaurant that's going to come kick it with us. So let's chill. So I'm making friends with them until dude finally comes out the bar. So we check out a couple bars within the area. I even bought them some drinks. I bought a round of drinks for their 4 people. Just trying to be on some, hey, we Americans, let's turn up. Of course, they drank my drinks and was like, look, we trying to be back by midnight, so sorry, we got to dip. I'm like, there's 4 of y'all. Your cab's gonna be $30. 4 people can split $30. I was mad. Anyways, long story short, they left Shauna and I high and dry. So we were left with just ourselves and the bartender from the robot restaurant. Cause he was like, look, if y'all trying to kick it till 5 in the morning, I got you. By this time, it was like 11:30. So he was like, are you sure you want to party till 5? I'm like, bitch, I go to cons. I can party till 5.
So this dude takes us to Roppongi, the most ratchet place in Tokyo. It's like the most ratchet club district around. And we're trying to make friends with this dude. He's like telling us his like whole life story and whatever. So we're like, cool, let's drink some strong zeros and let's get it on.
And then this dude from the restaurant was like, y'all gotta come to this club, Jumanji. I'm glad I vlogged this moment because I had no business getting another strong zero. I was already gone. Just like, yeah, let's get a strong zero. We had a lot of drinks.
A lot of drinks by this time. So when we went to get our final strong zero, we go to Jumanji. It was wild.
It was wild. Where we should have saw the red flag was this was the first time dude decided to buy us drinks. Mind you, at his workplace at Robot Restaurant, we paid for the drinks. He was our bartender. When we went to 7-Eleven to get strong zeros, we paid for it. But when we got to Jumanji, he was like, this is on me, guys. They bring us these little thimble-sized shot glasses of Coke and Hennessy. As we said, we've clearly been drinking tequila and strong zero all night. We told him we don't want to mix. Us being dumb and drunk, we trusted him and we drank it. Shortly after this shot, I black out. The last thing I remember from this trip was I vlogged taking this shot. You tell it from there. That's the last thing I remembered. Because last thing I vlogged, I was like, yeah, Roppongi. And I took this shot and I was done.
Okay, so before we get into any of that, let's backtrack a little bit. Because the guy that we ended up hanging out with in Roppongi was this dude from Nepal. That's what he had described to us, like, as where he was from and everything. Because he worked at the robot show. Straight off the bat, this guy did not seem right to me, like, because we had bought our drinks up there at the start of the night. Yeah. His name was some
English name, right?
Some English name, but for the sake of this video, I'm gonna call him Ichigo because he said he was from Nepal, which is nowhere in the vicinity of Japan.
Yeah, and he spoke perfect
English.
He had a slight accent, but it was perfect English.
He had some kind of Australian accent, but he looked Asian. So he gave us a story. We got to this place. Initially, when you go into Jumanji, you have to put your coat, your bag, whatever it is, inside these lockers that they have that's locked. And they give you the coat, they give you the lock, whatever. So we did that. This was like at the end of winter, so we still had our coats, and I still had my bag and whatever. We put everything in one locker. We go in initially, right off the bat, we just have a shot.
Yes.
Another shot of alcohol. Ichigo at this point was just like, live it up. You're from America. Let's go. Like, he was just like full of energy. He's like, yeah, let's do this. So we're all just taking shots. Me, you, whoever we met along the way, plus him. Ichigo was just like dancing, partying. Me and you were dancing, partying together, but then Ichigo would like, get in between us sometime and like just being dumb and stupid. At some point, you and me had gotten like totally too drunk.
Yeah, to be honest, we had been drinking since like 5 p.m. that day, and we were well after 1:30, 2 a.m. at the time.
So then you had said maybe we should leave, maybe we should go, and let's like get our stuff and let's go. So you had gathered your bag from the locker that we rented, and Ichigo's just like, he was talking to me. He's like, no, you're okay, right? I'm like, yeah, I'm fine. He purposely only took your bag out and let you go on your own, and I didn't know this at the time. But then we all walked out together out of the club.
So from what I'm told, I'm not doing too well at this point. We step out the club. I'm puking on the street. Shauna's like, damn, Renji don't puke. Dude from Nepal's like, he good. Shauna and him are having a conversation. this dude was getting kind of mad. Like, y'all told me you were good to stay out till 5 in the morning. I don't want to take a $50 cab home. I live further than your guys' hotel or whatever. He's mad at Shauna. All I'm thinking is like, bro, hey, I'm sorry. I thought I could make it. By this time, it was like 3 in the morning or whatever. I thought I could make it. I was like, I'm sorry, I can't hang. Again, this is what I'm told from Shauna. Next thing I know, I puke again. I break up the group huddle and I bolt over to the taxi. Ichigo is sitting here getting mad at Shauna. Shauna, Ichigo, and some of our friends we made along the way, they're in a discussion. I'm in this cab showing my phone to the cab driver. Hey, take me here. Take me here.
I see Renji in the taxi. I was confused because I thought we were supposed to stay out because no one communicated to me that we were supposed to either leave or stay.
Yep.
I just saw you bolt through the door and I'm like trying to catch you, but then Ichigo's having a fit. So then I see you duck in a cab and I thought that maybe you were trying to get like directions somewhere else. I don't know, but like Ichigo saw you duck into the cab. Ichigo walked up and was like, I guess clarified something to the cab driver. And then all that I knew is that Ichigo walked up to the cab, said something, and then you took off in the cab somewhere else. And I was there, just left like, okay, because no one said anything to me at this point. So I was just left in the dark. I'm just like, what? So I see you speed off in the cab. And then I asked Ichigo what happened to you. And he's like, oh, he's going home. It's fine. I'm like, he's going home. It's fine? Since when? And he's like, no, it's fine. Renji told me where he was going. And I explained to the cab exactly where that was. And, you know, he left.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay. But no one told me that.
You're thinking of the group. So you're trying to be cool. You're trying to play peacekeeper with all our new friends.
Right.
And you stayed with them. And then what happened?
Then me and Ichigo go back inside the club because I'm drunk. He's drunk. We're all drunk. And I see you go off in the cab. I'm just like, I didn't even have time to say anything or whatever. Ichigo's whisking me away back in the club. And he's like, no, don't worry about it. Let's just go. Like, you had grabbed your bag from the locker that we kept everything in. So, like, at the very least, I knew that I was going to go back to get my bag because I had expensive stuff in there too, including my phone. I'm like, if I need to catch up with you, I could just call you on my phone, whatever. So a little backstory. Ichigo was talking about his current girlfriend this entire time about how they're having problems and this and that, whatever. From the point where we left the robot show until the point where we got to Roppongi, he was talking about this girl.
That I do remember. He kept giving us some sob story about how his girlfriend was traveling from Japan to Korea. And for whatever reason, it was just a sad story about how he really loved her, but he didn't feel she loved him the same. And he even, at times, was what I thought pretending to call her.
From the moment I met him at the robot show, like, I didn't think that he was genuine. I really did not think that he was genuine because of the name that he gave us. He said he was from Nepal. Not that I know anyone from Nepal, but it's just like the way he said his name. It was something weird. It might as well have been Ichigo. After Renji had got in the cab and he was on his way, I went back in the club with Ichigo thinking that I'm just going to grab my bag and that would be it.
Yeah.
This guy takes me by the hand, leads me all the way back into the club. We passed the lockers and everything. I'm just like, I thought I was getting my bag and I was going to go too. He's like, no, you're going to stay. You're going to stay with me and we're going to have a good time. Renji has to go, but you don't have to go. Trigger warning for those of you who are out there who have a sexual assault trigger. Ichigo ended up touching me in a way that I don't like to repeat. But when we got back into that club, he was touching me in a way that I did not feel comfortable with. And that automatically sent off red flags. I'm like, at that point, I was in panic mode. I was like, no. Like, I need to get the fuck out of here. Like, I don't know what I need to do to get away from this guy, but, like, I need to get out of here. And, like, it was more in the sense that he was trying to get me alone away from Renji. because now that Renji was gone, he felt like he could do whatever he wanted. At this point, when we went back down to the club, I realized that I lost my glasses. I went to the bar and I asked the bartender if they had found any glasses anywhere. Ichigo came behind me and reached his hand by my vagina area, and like he was touching me sexually in that way as I was talking to the bartender. So if you can paint a picture, I was against the bar, Ichigo was behind me, and like he had his left hand over the bar around me, and then he had his right hand going down like between my legs, and he was touching me in that way. And then after that, he already had me like this. Like his left hand was over here, and like his other hand was going down between my legs, and then it kind of creeped up across my chest and like went this way and like back down again. And by the time he was like going back down again, I elbowed him with my arm. I'm just like, dude, get off of me. It was horrible. After the whole bar incident, we were on the dance floor. I let him know that it wasn't okay then. And then we went to the dance floor because I realized my glasses weren't at the bar. They didn't know where my glasses were. So I just went off to the dance floor to try to like see if they were on the ground or like on the table or whatever. But then he did it again. That's when he started like reaching up my chest again and trying to go between my legs. And dude, like, no, like I told him straight up, I'm like, this is not cool. I told him that, and he was just dumbfounded. He's like, what do you mean? It's like, what are you talking about? Like, he just played dumb the entire time.
That was what Shana was experiencing. Let's jump over to what was happening with me. I didn't even know I got in that taxi. They dropped me off approximately in the neighborhood. Mm-hmm. I'm at least 10 minutes away from my apartment I rented. The cab driver helped himself to my wallet. Remember, I said they take cash only. He took whatever cash I had in my wallet. By this time, I only had like $25 in cash. Mm-hmm. Easily a $40 cab ride. Being respectful, he only took the $25 in cash I had. Mm-hmm. Left all my credit cards, everything else, my Wi-Fi hotspot, everything. He must have drugged me out of his back seat and laid me down in someone's carport. My body was halfway in the carport, halfway on the street. I can't even imagine what that person that lived there felt when they came home from work and my drunk ass was laid out in their driveway. I slept there all night. I woke up at like 8 in the morning or something, freaking the hell out. Like, where am I? I'm looking around. I'm like, oh my God, there's a truck right next to me. And I'm looking at my legs, and my legs are in the sidewalk. Kudos to Japanese culture and etiquette. They left me right there. None of my stuff was missing besides my cash. They could have took my phone, my Wi-Fi, anything, but they didn't. So I'm sitting here confused.
You're jumping the gun a little bit.
So let's jump back to Shana.
When I finally left Ichigo, because I just kind of like freaked out on the dance floor with him, and then he followed me back up to the main level, to the street level, and that's when I grabbed my belongings. I grabbed everything out of the locker that we left our stuff in. Because at some point, I'm just like, you know what? Renji's gone. I can't be out here alone. This is dangerous and everything like that and whatever. And Ichigo, not even skipping a beat, is like, no, I need to be with you. I need to take care of you. I need to make sure that you're okay. And even after he tried to be inappropriate with me, he was still trying to be chivalrous and still following me everywhere I went. Even after I told him that you shouldn't be on me like that and touched me like that. I even smacked him, told him good night, and like shoved him around. I'm like, no, I'm not that one. He followed me up to the street level as I'm getting my things, as I'm leaving. And then I'm trying to find a cab back to where we were staying. Because I'm like, if anything, Renji's going to be there. I need to be there in case you're sick, in case something's going on. It was a situation where you were too sick and drunk to where you just left on your own, and I was drunk and sick on my own, and I didn't even think, like, I just didn't know what to do.
Okay, before we move past this point, did you think Ichigo had this in mind the whole time, or was it just on some drunk shit that he was just drunk and he was reacting?
I didn't know at the time that that's what he was doing. So when I actually did finally leave, Ichigo was still holding me by the wrist, pulling me by the wrist, saying like, "No, you need to stay here. You need to do this and that." I'm just like, "No, dude. Like, you don't understand. Like, I need to go. I need to go find Renji. I don't know where he's at." He's like, "No, no, it's fine. I told the cab where to take Renji. I know where he's living and staying right now. I know what's going on. Like, trust me." I'm like, "You just tried to sexually harass me. I don't trust you." And so I'm arguing back and forth with him, but then some of these street people saw me arguing with this guy.
Yeah.
I am an African American slash I'm a mixed girl on the outside, and this guy is just a short Asian guy.
Yeah.
And it just, from what it looked like, it just looked like we were having a dispute, and
Yeah.
people around us knew that we weren't together. So like street people were intervening at this point because there were some Caribbean people, like Islander people,
Yeah.
that were there to promote like their music, their business, whatever it was. But like these people saw that me and Ichigo were having a dispute, and they knew right away that me and him didn't match.
Yeah.
And they're like, "Hey, you need to back away from this girl. She looks clearly, I look different than he did." So they're like, "You need to stop. You need to walk away, dude. Like, just go away." So they're trying to save me from the situation. They see that there's cabs lining up in front of the club that we were in front of, and they're like trying to get me into the cab and trying to like push Ichigo away.
Yeah.
So thank goodness for those people, those random people that intervened, because without them, I would not have gotten away from Ichigo.
So I ask you again, it wasn't on just some drunk shit. Looking back on it, do you think this
Oh,
was
yeah.
an intentional setup?
Oh, definitely.
Like, this is some
Definitely.
shit he does to tourists.
At the
that
time,
he
I didn't
knows.
know, but after I thought about it, yeah, because the way that he sent you off on your merry way, knowing that we were together,
Yeah.
it just sent off red flags because I was trying to stay behind because I knew we left our stuff in
Yeah.
the lockers. I think I had your camera and stuff like that in my bag, so I didn't want to leave any of that stuff
Yeah.
behind. I had my ID, my passport. I have so many things left behind in that locker. These bystanders really saved my life. They whisked me away from Ichigo, sent him on his way, and sent me in a cab. That's not even the story. The story is when I finally got into the cab, I'm telling them where me and you were staying at the time.
Yeah.
They drop me off, no problem. Give them the cash, whatever. I get there. I use the code that you need to use to get into the building, but then I'm knocking on the door, waiting for you to answer. I'm knocking. It might have been a whole hour before I realized maybe Renji's not in there.
Mm.
Because I know you, especially when you're drunk, you snore.
Yeah.
I didn't hear anything.
Yeah.
I was right outside the door. And I did not hear you snoring. I didn't hear nothing. I didn't hear a peep. Even though I was knocking on the door, I was like doing one of these. I was like, let me in. I was
Yeah.
doing one of those. And luckily, nobody else was staying in that building
Yeah.
because they would have heard me too. But at some point, after an hour, literally an hour, I didn't hear anything. You didn't say anything. Everything just dropped. I'm just like, what if he's just not in there? After that, I went and got some like food because I was starving. I was waiting for you because I'm like, if I meet him in here, maybe we can walk down to the 7-Eleven down the street. We can get some food and whatever. You didn't answer the door, so I go get food anyways. I come back thinking that maybe I missed you or maybe you came after me. I'm knocking again. I got my bun, my steamed bun in my hand.
Yeah.
I'm eating that. I'm just like, hey. I'm just knocking on the door. Nobody answered. So after this, I'm getting worried. I'm getting so worried because I'm like, I saw you go in the cab. I know you went home. I know for a fact you went home because that's where Ichigo sent you. Because he wouldn't know where to send you if you didn't have it on your phone, the address. I walk outside. I'm walking up and down the neighborhood. I'm walking around the corners. I'm walking up and down the street. Everything. I'm looking for you. And I can't find you. Everything in my soul just dropped. I'm like, I lost Renji in Japan. I lost you. Words can't even describe how scared I was. I was trying to call the ambulance. I was trying to call police, but I didn't know what number to call. It was like, okay, call 311 if you want information. Call 411 if you want this. I'm like, I don't have time for this. I don't have time. And my phone was dying. I didn't have any like batteries or any like power. I had a Wi-Fi hotspot too, and I was calling your Facebook after your text message didn't work. That didn't work because that was running out of batteries too. So I'm just like, I have nowhere to plug in. So I go to the nearest 7-Eleven and I find a battery charger, and I'm asking the guy at the front desk. I'm just like, I didn't even know what I said because I was trying to speak Japanese to him. He's just like, no, I understand. It's okay. This is the one you need. Take it. It's okay. I'm just like, arigato, tomo. I'm just like crying profusely and just like, dude, you don't understand. This is amazing. You just help me. He's like, yeah, just go. Just go take. This is the one you need. Just go. No sooner did I walk out that 7-Eleven.
Okay.
Mind you, by the time I got back to where we were staying until the time I finally bought a battery charger, 4.5 hours had passed.
Let's pause and shift the story back to me. So while Shana was experiencing all that, my dumbass is drunk and asleep in that carport. Right? So let's fast forward to 8 in the morning. The sun is coming up. I am cold and I wake up. I realize I'm on the street. I'm dehydrated. All I could think about was like, I need some water and holy crap, where is Shana? I'm looking around. I don't recognize the neighborhood. I have no idea where I am, but survival needs come first. I was like, I need some water. So I'm checking my man purse, my satchel. I see my wallet and phone and everything is still intact. I was like, if I can make it to a 7-Eleven or a food mart, I can at least get some water and start there. If I just walk in any direction down a major street, I will find a 7-Eleven. I slowly made my way out that carport. I'm making this 10-minute walk and I see a food mart in the distance or a 7-Eleven. I'm like 4 or 5 feet from walking in, and guess who I see walking out?
Me.
Shana was walking out of that same store. I can't describe the look on her face. It was a combination of like, oh my God, you're alive, and oh my God, I'm gonna kill you.
He was wearing this obscene hoodie with like this crazy anime print. It was something loud and obnoxious.
Yes.
I just remember walking out of that 7-Eleven, 7-Eleven Family Mart, with my little Android charger in my hand, just like, it's like that and like a steam bun because I was so hungry. And I'm like walking out of the store and I see this obscene, stupid hoodie. I'm looking down at my hands and I see this hoodie and I'm like, oh, hell no.
Mm-hmm.
That ain't Renji. I know it ain't Renji because Renji would be heading for the hills right now because I'm about to beat his ass. I'm about to beat his ass. I'm about to just throw him down. I dropped that charger so fast. I'm charging at Renji. I'm like, where have you been? And he's like, I don't know. What are you talking about? Where did you come from? I'm like, I was in the mart buying a charger to call your ass. He's just like running away from me as I'm running towards him. I'm like, get back here.
I was so weak and fragile. I was like, I'm cold.
He's starting to run away. I'm just like, no. I'm just like hero mode. I'm just like, get back here so I can whip your ass.
I know.
He's like, no.
Shana was happy I was alive so she could kill me in that moment. She was so pissed. And all I could think about was, I need nutrients. I've been sleeping in someone's garage.
I had my Thor hammer like, it's like, no. I'm like, get the back here. Heroic voice and everything.
I couldn't even feel bad at the moment because I was so weak. We had been drinking all night and I did not hydrate. So at 5-6 hours of sleeping outdoors in someone's carport, halfway in the street, halfway in the garage, I could have been anywhere too, just really thinking back on it. Luckily, my drunk ass was smart enough to put the address of the apartment on the phone. That way I was able to show the cab driver first. And thankfully, the cab driver knew enough to trust me. I didn't have my exact address translated right, but he knew the neighborhood. Ichigo could have told the cab driver to drop me off anywhere. That's one thing I didn't really think about. Ichigo could have been like, yeah, just dump him off around the corner. Thank God for that cab driver. He did drop me off within 10 minutes of the neighborhood. So I wasn't too far off. It was just a matter of figuring out where I was. Ichigo could have said, hey, drop him off in the back of Kmart. Looking back on it, I think that's what he was trying to do. I was wondering why the cab driver kind of dropped me off roughly in the neighborhood, but not at my place.
Because if you had been there, I would have seen you.
Yeah.
I did not see you. That's
No.
what made me get into panic mode real quick.
How I was laid out, it looked like the cab driver literally drugged me out the back of his cab and just laid me down as best as he could.
And if this couldn't have happened anywhere, I'm glad it happened in Japan.
Yeah.
Because all of the things that you had with you would have been stolen. Because Renji had his passport with him, his IDs, cash, credit cards. I think you had your vlogging camera with you as well. All of that was still with him.
Yeah.
Everything. Nothing was taken. Nothing was stolen. He was in the middle of someone's carport, in the middle of Japan, just in the middle of Tokyo. This is a crazy story, yes, and I laugh about it to this day, but like, I'm just so glad that this kind of shit happened in Japan because I could have been picked up.
Looking back on it, I felt terrible. Just thinking about all the things you had to experience. Anything could have happened to you. I was just so mad at myself for just letting myself get to that point. For those who know me, I never drink so much that I black out and get stupid. That's why I felt so comfortable with me drinking as much as I did. I
Yeah.
paced myself. I was very conscious of it. Actually, I posted this on Facebook after it happened. I said something that was like, man, I think I Japan too hard because I blacked out and woke up on the street. Then came a bunch of comments and stories about how other people on my friends list had gone to Roppongi and gone to Jumanji and blacked out as well. Then it made me start to think like, maybe there's something up with Jumanji.
Also, that night, happened to sprain my arm.
Ooh.
I was injured, so I sprained my arm, lost my glasses, lost you. Like my stuff was still locked away in some locker that was there. I was in a whole lot of mess at that point in time. So like this place, and I also noticed at Jumanji, especially where we were, I saw other females getting felt up. I saw other females getting handled in such a way.
Yeah.
And you know, it's one thing being a part of it, but it's also another thing seeing it from far away and stuff like. At some point I just thought like maybe this is not the safest place to be, because where we were staying at the time was not too far from Roppongi.
Yeah,
that
just a couple
district.
train stops away.
A couple of train stops away. But the like we said, at some point the train stopped working. So I was just between a rock and a hard place, for a lack of better words. So I had to get a cab. I had to get out of there. I had to, not that I would have taken a train at that time. Like, no, I already saw what was happening in that district. I wasn't about to get a train from that district and go back to where we were staying. I was not about to do that, because if I wasn't safe in a club, how am I going to be safe in a subway? Thankfully, people saw that I was in trouble and got me away from this dude, because now that I think back on it, he was trying to separate us the entire night. He was trying to do whatever he was going to do. I don't even know. Like, he could be within that sex trafficking ring. Who knows? But, like, all I know is that I was just trying to go home and I couldn't because he wouldn't let me. And there was something fishy about that.
He had the perfect setup for it. He worked at the Robot Restaurant, which is a very popular tourist trap.
Oh, yeah.
He could see people coming from a mile away, and my dumbass was like, hey, let's be friends, show us around. I kind of let us into that, and I feel terrible about it. Like, I remember waking up on those streets, and when I saw Shana, I had no words. Shana was yelling at me as we were trying to walk back to our apartment, and she had every right to.
Renji and his state of mind was just freezing, trying to get out the elements. But I was just like, no!
Yeah.
Just fighting you on it. It's funny now. It's funny now. I've gotten over it since. But looking back on that, we shouldn't have survived.
Yeah, also burnt a whole day afterwards recovering.
Oh yeah.
As soon as we finally both made it back to the apartment, we just slept away the whole day. Because, like, as we said, when me and Shauna finally saw each other, it was like 8 in the morning. So from that point, we still had to gather our thoughts and figure out where we were to make it back to our apartment. We burnt a whole day in Tokyo because we were hungover and tired, and that's embarrassing and a waste.
I'm just glad that it happened in Japan because this could have been way worse.
Yeah.
Way worse.
As Shauna said, it was funny, but it definitely terrifies me till this day still. Part of me is like, ha ha ha, you passed on Japan. Goals. And then the other half of me was like, someone could have sold you on the black market, you dumbass. And someone could have murdered Shauna. Had this been LA, it would have been a wrap.
I find it funny now, but I only find it funny because it was in Japan that this happened. Only in Japan can you feel this entirely safe, wake up the next day drunk as hell, and then just have a story to tell, you know?
Okay, so part 2 of the Japan adventures has run for a pretty long time now. So let's just wrap it up. We can talk about this for hours on end.
Oh, yeah.
Tokyo, priceless adventure. Despite everything that happened, good and bad, I'm glad that we experienced it. It was a learning lesson. Bring it back to the original point of this podcast, this 2-episode podcast. We in this pandemic, we can't do shit but plan and save money. If Japan is on your bucket list, start putting that money away. Seriously. You'll be surprised how quick that adds up. You'll be surprised if you stop going to cons and start putting that money away in a bucket. It adds up so fast, and you too could be going to Japan. Hopefully you ain't getting drunk and you black out in someone's carport, but you can make your own memories. There's more to Japan than just all the weeb shit. We just wanted to share our real life experiences of being in Japan. I don't like when other cosplayers or YouTubers give you this fantasy about it, but no one ever tells you the real shit. Like how Shauna just told you, she got groped up at a club. People don't tell you how there's women-only train cars. For whatever reason, a lot of Japanese men on the train grope women. You can look at that shit up on YouTube. People don't mention that shit. Yeah, Japan's very wholesome and safe for the most part, but then they have these pockets of like, what the hell, that don't fit in. Anyways, hope y'all appreciate the realness we've given you. Maybe we'll make another podcast about Japan in the future. It was such an experience. There's so much to talk about. Definitely, this is your time to get your money together and get your plans together. It doesn't even have to be Japan. Wherever you want to go, this is time to put the money aside. With that said, thank you so much for tuning into this week's episode of the Shinobi Squad Podcast. I'm Fan Service Renji.
I'm Shana Mostella.
And we'll see you guys next week.